Another day begins. Work continues.
From now on, I will be head in this market. Every leg that steps inside this market must buy from me. Anyone that enters here must follow my rule. Anybody I collect change from his or her shop, all the money they make that day will enter my cardboard. As I pack this sand from the market, so shall all the customers and all the money in this market be mine.
Something is not right in this market.
Oga, come by!
Madam, check this one.
Original price! Customer, come here!
Every day, this market is filled with noise, movement, and struggle. From morning till night, people come here with one purpose: to survive, to make money, to feed their families. But what many of them don't know is this: this market is not as ordinary as it looks, because when the sun goes down and darkness takes over, something else wakes up. Anyachi was one of the many traders in that market, a hard-working young woman struggling every single day to make ends meet. From morning till evening, she sat in her shop waiting and hoping, but no customer came, not even one. God, even if it is just one person, she whispered. But the day ended just like the others, empty. But in that same market, there was someone else. Her name was Mmiri. Nobody knew where she came from, nobody knew where she lived, but every single day she was always there, selling. Sometimes she sold wigs, sometimes makeup tools, sometimes okrika clothes, sometimes food items. Sometimes she even made people's hair like a professional hairdresser, and her prices were always very cheap, too cheap. Because of that, customers rushed her. Everybody liked her, everybody bought from her. But what nobody knew was that Mmiri had been dead for over 5 years. Every night, after the market closed and everyone went home, Mmiri did not go back like others. Instead, she walked slowly to the burial ground. She would sit quietly on her grave, arranging her goods, preparing for the next day's market. And every day, Anyachi watched her. Something about Mmiri did not feel right. Not far from Anyachi's shop, Chief Udu Ego, a well-known trader, was also fighting his own battle. Loss after loss, failure after failure. This market will not destroy me. I cannot continue like this, he shouted in anger. That was when a voice called him, slow, calm, and frightening. Come. He turned and saw an old woman sitting quietly in a corner of the market, surrounded by strange items, beads, calabash, powders. She looked at him like she already knew him. Your problem is not money, it is what is following you. Chief Udu Ego froze. What do you mean? He asked. The old woman leaned closer. If you want wealth, come to me by midnight. He laughed at first, but deep inside him, desperation was growing. As he turned to leave, she spoke again. But first, you must go to the market park and gather the sand from where people step. That night, the market became silent. No noise, no traders, just darkness. Then, suddenly, the wind began to blow, whispers filled the air, and shadows started moving. At exactly midnight, the market came alive again, but not with humans. That was the same time Chief Udu Ego returned. Fear was written all over him, but his mind was focused on one thing: money. He met the old woman, and she handed him a white powder. Rub this on your face so they will not see you. His hands trembled, but he obeyed. Carefully, he stepped into the market. What he saw was not normal. Strange figures moving, buying, selling, but they were not humans. Their movements were unnatural, their voices not of this world. Chief Udu Ego held his breath, bent down and began to pack the sand from the ground. His heart was beating fast. One of the spirits passed very close to him but did not see him. He continued, shaking until he finished. Suddenly, one shadow paused as if it sensed something. Chief froze. His breath stopped. But after a moment, the shadow moved on. That was when he ran out of the market without looking back.
You have gotten the sand from the market. Now remaining one thing. Go to that market in the middle of the night. Make sure you stand in the center, hold the pot I gave you and make a wish. You have only 15 minutes inside that market. Don't spend more than 15 minutes.
As I pack this sand from the market, so shall all the customers and all the money in this market be mine. Money I collect change from his or her shop, all the money they make that day will enter my cardboard.
The next morning, everything changed. Customers rushed his shop, money started flowing, sales increased like magic. People were shocked. Since when? How? What is his secret? Even Anyachi watched him carefully, but her eyes slowly moved to Mmiri, who was smiling quietly while attending to customers. Something was wrong in that market. Later that day, Chief Udu Ego returned to the old woman. She gave him a bead. Wear this on your waist always. Then she warned him, no woman must touch it, and anytime you want to be with a woman, remove it. If you break this rule, you will regret it. Chief nodded, but deep inside he did not understand the danger, because sometimes the beginning of wealth is the beginning of destruction. That night, as he slept, a voice echoed in the darkness. You have started. Now the market knows your name. He woke up in fear, and far away in the silent market, the shadows were already gathering again. And somewhere in the burial ground, Mmiri sat quietly on her grave, arranging her goods, waiting for morning.
I'm tired. Let me rest. Tomorrow is Eke market. I must wake early. Money does not sleep.
Ah, see crowd, since when chief shop comes on like this? Now here everybody they buy now, oh, his goods cheap and full.
Yes, this is just the beginning.
Chief Udu Ego's life changed overnight. His small shop had turned into a massive hall filled with goods. At the top, his name stood boldly, Chief Udu Ego. Customers lined up in large numbers, waiting for their turn. Workers moved up and down, dressed in black jeans and red polos with his name printed on them. Inside, he now had a private office. Wealth had finally found him. But not everyone was celebrating. Other traders began to whisper, "Since Chief started selling, my business has died. Something is not right." Their shops were empty. Their faces were filled with worry. Anyachi watched quietly. She noticed something strange. Every customer that bought from Chief looked weak, confused, drained. It was as if something had been taken from them. Then it happened. A trader suddenly collapsed in the market. People rushed in fear. At that same moment, Chief made his biggest sale. That was when the whispers returned. Chief touched his waist. The bead was hot, burning. More, the voice echoed. Later, he called 2 of his workers. He gave them 5,000 naira each. He said, "Go and get change from other shops." They went.
Good afternoon, sir. We need change. Change, how much?
5,000 a bat. Now only una they come collect money these days.
Good afternoon, sir. We need change. Change, how much?
5,000.
Now only una they come collect money these days. Now Oga send us.
But by evening, something was wrong. Different traders began to complain. "I sold goods all day, but this money is not complete. Where did my money go? This is not what I made." One after another, the same problem. Meanwhile, the workers returned. They handed the change to Chief. That night, in his house, he opened a drawer and kept the money inside. His wealth was growing, but so was the darkness. Not long after, Emeka visited him. "My friend, tell me the truth. How did you become this rich?" Chief smiled calmly. "It is the Lord's doing. Just work hard." But Emeka did not believe him. That same day, Chief returned to the old woman. She looked at him and smiled. "Chief Udu Ego, you are now the richest man in that market." Chief nodded proudly. "I came to thank you. I will bring a big cow every month as an offering." The old woman laughed, slowly, wickedly. "That is not what Ndume wants from you." Chief frowned. "Then tell me, I will do anything as long as the money keeps flowing." She leaned closer. "Every week, you must go to the burial ground and perform the ritual with the dead." Chief froze. "No, I cannot do that." Her voice turned cold. "Then prepare to lose your life in 2 months." That night, Chief sat alone in his room thinking, fear and greed fighting inside him. Then slowly, he made his choice. He would do it. Across the market, Anyachi continued watching. Her eyes moved from Chief to Mmiri. Who is this woman? She looks like she is not of this world. I must find out. That night, Mmiri sat quietly on her grave, arranging beautiful okrika clothes for the next market day. The next morning, she poured them on the ground. Customers rushed her, buying, smiling, paying. Anyachi stood at a distance, watching everything. Then, night came again. The burial ground was silent. Mmiri sat on her grave, arranging her goods. Suddenly, she saw him, Chief Udu Ego, walking slowly into the burial ground. Her eyes narrowed. This man, the richest man in the market, what is he doing here? Quickly, she touched her face. Black smoke covered her. Chief walked past, unaware that someone was watching him. The darkness grew heavier, and in that moment, the truth of the market began to unfold.
This market never returned to normal since, even as business they go, something no pure. My own sales don't finish completely.
Since that chief started to rise, everything just scatter.
The market had not returned to normal. Even though business continued, something in the air had changed. Chief Udu Ego moved through his shop like a man carrying an unseen burden. Customers still came in large numbers, but his eyes were no longer at peace. Sometimes he would pause, as if listening to something no one else could hear. Around him, other traders were still struggling. My own sales don't finish, oh, one woman whispered. Since that man started rising, everything changed, another replied. Across the market, Anyachi watched quietly. She had not stopped observing Chief. Her suspicion had grown stronger. Something was wrong.
Make una close shop early today. I get somewhere to go.
That evening, Chief closed earlier than usual. Without telling anyone, he stepped out and began walking alone into the night. No driver, no escort, no phone, just him and the darkness. As he walked, the air around him grew colder. His waist bead reacted slightly. He stopped, placed his hand on his waist, and felt a faint heat. He frowned, then continued walking. The burial ground was silent. Graves stood in rows, covered in darkness and moving fog. Before stepping forward, Chief paused and looked around carefully to be sure no one was watching him. Unknown to him, Mmiri was already there, hidden in the shadows. Slowly, Chief walked to a grave. He sat down, then gently lay flat on top of it, facing up, like a lifeless body, like a ghost. For a few seconds, nothing happened, only silence. Then suddenly, a cold wind swept through the graveyard. The fog began to move faster. A faint whisper echoed. His waist bead grew hotter. His breathing became heavier. "You have come," the voice whispered. Chief did not move. He remained there, sleeping on the grave just as instructed. From a distance, Mmiri watched him silently. She shook her head slightly and murmured, "The heart of men."
The heart of men.
Later that night, Mmiri returned to her own grave. She calmly arranged her market goods, bone-straight wigs, expensive wigs, makeup tools, handbags, slippers, and shoes. She sighed softly and said, "Let me sleep small before tomorrow market." She lay down on her grave and slept. Around 4 a.m., Chief suddenly woke up. He quickly stood up, looking disturbed, then ran out of the burial ground. Back in his bedroom, he sat down, breathing heavily. He wiped his face and said, "To make money is not easy. Now I know why some rich men are stingy. The road is not easy." Morning came. Mmiri woke up from her grave and began arranging her goods neatly. Everything looked attractive and expensive. At the market, Anyachi sat in her shop, empty with no customers, just like others. In anger, she stood up and said, "Enough is enough. I must find out what is going on in this market." Mmiri spread her goods and customers rushed her immediately, buying, smiling and paying. From a distance, Anyachi watched and said, "I must follow this woman. I need to know who she is. I will confront her."
Some people's business are still moving in this market and I don't like that. All the success in this market must belong to me, every single one of it. As long as I keep collecting change from their shops, everything they make will come back to me. Their hustle, their profit, their progress, all must answer to me. Let them continue to struggle while I take the glory without stress. From today, no money will pass this place without passing through my hands first.
Meanwhile, Chief's business continued to grow even bigger. More customers, more money, and more complaints from other traders. At exactly 2 a.m., Chief stood alone in the center of the market, holding a clay pot. Following the old woman's instruction, he made a wish silently. Later, Chief called his 3 workers and gave each of them 10,000 naira. "Go and collect change from different shops," he ordered.
Take this money, 10,000 each. Go around the market and collect change from every shop. Make sure you bring back everything. I don't want excuses.
After the market closed, Mmiri began walking home. But this time, Anyati followed her secretly. Mmiri did not turn back. She simply said, "Sometimes it is good to mind your business," and continued walking. Anyati kept following her. Suddenly, a white old woman appeared mysteriously in front of her and said, "Anyachi, go back. It is not yet time." Fear gripped her and she turned and ran back. The next day, Mmiri entered Chief's shop to buy something. Chief attended to her personally, but the moment he saw her, he became lost in her beauty. He said, "You are very beautiful. Be my wife." Mmiri laughed and said, "You are joking." Chief replied seriously, "No, I will not let this beauty pass me by. I want to make you my wife. I am a widower. Please don't say no." Mmiri stared at him silently for a few seconds.
I am serious. I'm a widow. I have seen many women, but none like you.
But we just met. You don't even know who I am.
That does not matter. What I see is enough. I don't need to know everything today. In this market, I have seen many faces, but yours is different. I don't need to know everything today. I just know I want you in my life. Please, don't say no. I don't want to lose you.
Chief Udu Ego was still holding Mmiri inside his shop, his eyes filled with desire and desperation. "Please, don't say no. I don't want to lose you," he said. Suddenly, his waist bead began to heat violently. A deep vibration filled the air. Chief flinched in shock. "What is happening?" At that same moment, things inside the shop began to change. Money started falling from customers' hands. POS machines stopped working. Goods dropped mysteriously from shelves. Customers looked around in confusion. But Mmiri stood calm, smiling slowly. She looked straight into his eyes and said, "Not everything in this market belongs to you." Then she gently removed his hand, picked up her bag, and walked away without fear. From a distance, Ayachi watched everything carefully. Her eyes narrowed. "This woman, no be ordinary person," she murmured. That night, Mmiri sat on top of her grave, arranging her market goods. She smiled to herself and laughed softly. "He wants to marry me. Okay, we shall see." Elsewhere, Chief lay on his bed thinking deeply about her. A smile spread across his face. "She is my kind of woman, so beautiful, so calm. I must make her my wife." In her compound, Ayachi sat under a tree, holding a small mirror. Her voice was filled with frustration. "Mother, what is happening to me? Why can't I sell like others? Why is my chi silent?" Suddenly, the mirror changed. The white old woman appeared inside it. "Ayachi, the great daughter of Mirioma, you worry too much. If your chi allowed your business to prosper, you would not question what is happening in the market. You have been chosen to save them, but it is not yet time." Ayachi remained silent, shocked. Chief visited the old woman in her shrine, smiling, but the old woman looked at him deeply. "I can see you are happy, but be careful. That wish you cherish so much may become your destruction." Chief replied, "No problem. I have found a woman I want to marry. I am getting married very soon. But the problem is the bead. You said it must always be on my waist and no woman should touch it. Now, I want to marry. What should I do?" The old woman smiled. "A fly that refuses advice follows the corpse to the grave." Chief frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him again and said, "You cannot marry her." Chief burst into laughter. "You are old. You don't understand what they call love." He walked away. The old woman shouted after him, "You cannot marry her." In the market, the women gathered for a meeting. Madam Charity stood up. "My fellow women, are we going to sit and watch while our businesses are dying?" "No," they responded. "Enough is enough. Our money keeps disappearing. What are we going to do?" Mrs. Nkiri stood up. "Let us pray. Let us cry to God. This is too much." They all agreed to hold a midnight prayer in the market.
Chief, the market women are planning a midnight prayer today. What did you say? They said they will gather tonight and pray in the market. No.
When Chief heard about the prayer, he became restless. He rushed back to the shrine. The old woman said, "That prayer must not hold. Do everything possible to scatter it, or you will not like the outcome. Go to the burial ground, perform your weekly ritual, then return to the market at midnight and make your wish." Later, Chief met Mmiri again in the market. Smiling, he said, "You promised to come to my shop yesterday, but I didn't see you." Mmiri smiled calmly. "Don't worry, I will come tomorrow." Chief brightened. "What is your name?" "Mmiri," she replied. "Wow, what a beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Where do you live? Can I visit you?" Mmiri smiled. "But you already know my house." Chief looked confused. "No, I don't." She replied, "You visit my compound every week." Chief laughed loudly. "You must be joking." Then he said, "Let me rush back. They are calling me. I hope to see you tomorrow." Mmiri watched him silently. That night, Chief went to the burial ground for his ritual. Unknown to him, Mmiri sat on her grave, arranging her goods and watching him. She said quietly, "He is in my compound again." Chief lay down on the grave. Suddenly, dark ghost-like figures emerged and moved around him. Thick smoke covered his body. After a few seconds, everything disappeared back into the grave. Mmiri watched and smiled. Let me sleep small before tomorrow market. Her grave opened and she disappeared inside with her goods. At midnight, Chief stood in the center of the market and made his wish.
I wish that this prayer will not hold. I wish that fire will destroy the shops of those who are planning this prayer. Let the fire burn their shops beyond repair. They will be scattered and forced to leave this market. And I shall stand as the head of all that what I have declared shall stand.
The next morning, Ayachi stood in her shop observing everything carefully. Very soon, all the hidden secrets in this market will be exposed.
God, arise and fight for us. Let every evil in this market be exposed. Every power stealing from our business.
That same night, the market women gathered for prayer. As they began to pray, suddenly, fire burst out from nowhere, burning shops. Gunshot sounds echoed through the market. Panic spread. The women screamed and ran in fear. Chaos filled the night. Some shops were completely destroyed, reduced to ashes, while others stood untouched, as if nothing had happened. Women cried and shouted in pain and confusion. My shop is gone! Why only my shop? What did we do to deserve this? In the midst of the chaos, Ayachi stood quietly, observing everything. Her eyes moved slowly across the burnt and untouched shops. She whispered, this fire was sent. That night, Mmiri rose again from her grave. This time, her power was stronger. Her expensive wigs, makeup tools, mirrors, fancy shoes and slippers and combs fluttered around her in the air. Fire reflections flickered in her eyes. She smiled. At that same moment, the ground in the market began to shake violently. A crack opened on the ground and thick smoke rose from beneath. Something was coming out from under the market. Ayachi, standing at a distance, whispered, now the real battle has begun. Later that night, Chief Udu Ego was sitting in his house when he heard a knock on the door. He opened it and froze. It was Mmiri, standing there, smiling. Shock filled his face as he wondered how she knew his house. He quickly invited her inside. They sat together and Chief asked, how did you know my house? I can't remember giving you my address. Mmiri smiled and replied, when you are in love, you can know everything. Those words melted his heart. He laughed happily. Finally, I have stolen your heart. He hugged her and kissed her, but Mmiri only smiled, staring at him calmly. Chief spoke again, full of excitement. I don't want to waste time before another man takes you from me. I want to come and see your people. Let's discuss our marriage. Mmiri smiled and said, okay. Chief laughed joyfully. Thank you for accepting me. You have completed me. I now have everything. I will come this weekend to see your people. Mmiri replied softly, okay, I will inform them today. Back at her grave, Mmiri laughed. I will surely inform my people. The next day, Mmiri was in the market selling her goods. Customers gathered around her, buying in large numbers. After the market closed, she smiled and said, let me go and inform my people that we are having a visitor. She left immediately. Mmiri entered Mama Black's shop. They faced each other. Mmiri said, Mama Black, we are having a visitor. They both looked at each other and smiled. She then went to Oga Okwi's shop. Oga Okwi, we are having a visitor. They exchanged a knowing smile. Mmiri visited Ayachi in her shop. Ayachi stared at her deeply. Mmiri laughed lightly. You? Why are you always staring at me? Did I offend you? Or do I look like someone you know? Ayachi replied calmly, "You are strange. Can you tell me what you are?" Mmiri smiled and said, "Anyway, I want us to be friends. I like you." Ayachi looked at her for a moment, then smiled slightly. "Okay, we are friends now." They both stared at each other, smiling. At his plaza, Chief Udu Ego stood proudly as customers filled his shop and his workers sold goods. Sitting in his office, he laughed loudly. "Let me see any fool that will start prayer in this market again. This is just the beginning." In her shrine, the old woman sat quietly and smiled darkly. Stubborn fly. You said I am old and I don't understand love? Okay, we shall see. Chief later gave his workers money. "Go and get change from other shops." After they left, he smiled to himself. "I need millions for this wedding. Mmiri is very beautiful. She deserves an expensive wedding. This wedding will be loud." Elsewhere, Oga Cash stood in his empty bond shop, frustrated and broken. "Who did this to me? I was one of the richest men in this market. How did I become this poor? I cannot even feed my family. This is not ordinary. If others keep quiet, I, Oga Cash, will never keep quiet. I must find out who did this." That night, Mmiri stood in the burial ground with her family. She said, "He is coming tomorrow to see my people." They all laughed loudly. "We are waiting for him." The next day, Chief prepared to visit his in-laws. He stood with his friend Emeka, his uncle Eze, and his auntie. He was very happy. His uncle looked at him and said, "My son, you are rushing this marriage. You met this woman just last week, and you are already planning to marry her. At least give it time." Chief laughed confidently. "Uncle, I am not a child. I know what I want. This is not my first marriage. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." His uncle nodded slowly. "Okay, my own is to escort you." Back in the burial ground, Mmiri and her family prepared for their visitors. They dressed like real villagers. They set chairs, arranged drinks, and placed food on the table. Everything looked perfect. Mmiri smiled and said, "We have covered everywhere. I have sent him the address. Once they drive into this road, they will see this place as a mansion, not a graveyard." They all burst into laughter.
Chief and his people were on the road. Everything looked normal, but something was wrong. The road became too quiet, there were no people walking, and the wind started blowing strangely. Uncle began to feel uncomfortable and spoke in a low voice. "This road, I don't like it." Chief laughed it off. As they drove deeper, the sky slightly darkened. The trees began to look twisted, and even the sound around them became dull. Auntie touched her chest in fear and said, "My body is not settling," but Chief ignored everything. They finally stopped. What actually existed was a full graveyard with crosses everywhere, open burial ground and empty land. But what they saw was a big, beautiful mansion with a clean compound, chairs arranged, food, drinks, garden eggs and wine neatly placed. Same location, different reality. Chief smiled proudly and said, "I told you, she's from a good home." Mmiri walked out to welcome them with a calm smile and said, "You are welcome, my husband." Chief was already carried away. They all sat down comfortably, seeing chairs, food, drinks, and smiling family members. Oga Okwi stood up and said in a calm, deep voice, "You are welcome to our home. I am her senior brother." He looked at Chief seriously and continued, "We have heard about you. If your intention is good, we will hear you."
Greetings, my in-laws. My intention is very good. I love Mmiri so much and I want to make her my wife. We are here for knocking of the door and to collect the traditional marriage list.
Everything was calm, no fear, but the tension was heavy. Okwi sat down and Chief stood up confidently and said, Greetings, my in-laws. My intention is very good. I love Mmiri so much and I want to make her my wife. We are here for knocking of the door and also to collect the traditional marriage list. Everyone clapped happily, but Chief's uncle forced a smile, clearly uncomfortable. Mmiri and Asa stood up and began to serve food and drinks. Everyone was eating and enjoying, except the uncle, who refused to eat anything and only watched quietly. After everything, Chief and his people left. Immediately they left, Mmiri and her people burst into laughter. They danced wildly and laughed hard. Mmiri smiled deeply and said, "It has begun." When Chief and his people arrived home, Chief looked very happy and everyone was happy except the uncle, who looked confused and said, "My son, to tell you the truth as an elderly man that I am, that family you went to is not good. Everything about them looks strange." Chief became angry and replied, "Uncle, please don't spoil this happy moment." In the shrine, the old woman sat quietly under the tree and said slowly, "They have set a trap for him and he has entered. The awaited revenge of 20 years ago has just begun. He used his own hands to awaken what was buried for long. Soon he will dance to the music." In Ayachi's compound, she sat under a tree speaking through a mirror to the old white witch and said, "Mama, she wants us to be friends, but I am still confused about her. She looks like she's not of this world." The old white witch replied calmly, "It is good you accepted her friendship. I told you, you are the one that will save them, but it is not yet time." In the burial ground, Mmiri sat on her grave arranging her market goods and said, "We have a wedding coming up, so we need enough money. Let me go and sell and get more money." In Chief's office, Chief told his workers, "Go and get change from people's shops," and they left immediately. One of the workers went to Oga Kash's shop and said, "Oga, I need change." Oga Kash looked at his empty shop and said, "Did you see any goods in my shop to give you change? But wait, let me ask you a question. Why is it that you people from Chief's Plaza go around every day collecting change? Chief's shop is the richest in this market and customers are full like sand. So what are you doing with all the change you collect?" The worker replied angrily, "If you don't have change, say so. What kind of question is this?" And he left. Oga Kash stood there thinking deeply because something was not right. He then decided to go on a journey to Ezemo Shrine to find out what really happened to his business. Mmiri visited Anyachi in her house and they both sat down like real friends. Anyachi kept observing her and said, "What can I offer you? I cooked delicious jollof rice." Mmiri smiled and said, "No, I will eat next time when I visit. I came to invite you to my traditional marriage." Anyachi smiled and said, "Wow, you are getting married? Congratulations. Sure, I will be there."
My love, your house looks so beautiful and your people really welcome us well.
Do you like my compound?
Yes, now, very beautiful mansion. I can't wait to hold you in my arms, kiss your beautiful lips. My love, before I forgot, I have invite all my friends for our traditional marriage. Ego Laudo.
Really? But I don't like too much crowd. Just come with your few family members. My own family members is enough. They are more than thousands.
Okay, my love, your wish is my command. I love you so much.
In Chief's house, Chief and Mmiri were planning the traditional marriage. Chief asked her to sleep over, but Mmiri smiled and said, "No, not until you pay my bride price." Chief laughed and said, "That is why I am rushing everything, because I cannot wait for our first night on bed." That night, Chief returned to the burial ground to do his weekly ritual, and Mmiri sat on her grave watching him and said softly, "Soon." That same night, Chief returned to the market and made a wish as the wind blew and something unseen moved in the darkness.
I wish all the success in this market to belong to me. I must be the head. They will hustle, but I, Chief Udu Ego, I will be taking the glory.